Alright, let's try again. I'm on the bus in Brasov, and a little while ago I talked to Alexandra, who works in a casino at the bottom of a mall, and we had a really good talk. Actually, I did most of the talking. Alexandra was a very good listener, so thank you for that, Alexandra. We talked about lots of things, or actually, again, I talked about lots of things. Let's see, from education to parenting to traveling. Let's see. I'm going to try to go back and kind of remember how the conversation went. I think one of the first things I asked was whether she gambles herself, and she said no. And then I asked if her work colleagues gambled, and she said no. And then I think I asked somewhere along the way if she smoked and drank, and I believe she said no to those also. And she told me, I think even before I asked, that she felt kind of sad about the fact that people come in and gamble and lose their money. She said everyone loses. They win a little bit, but they all lose in the long run. And I told her a little bit about South America, about how the parents there don't even have money to buy books for their kids, but they have money for smoking and drinking and gambling. Let's see, somehow then we started talking about America and traveling, and she told me she had been to Tunisia, I think it was, with her family, and also to Turkey. So then I asked what her parents did, because obviously I figured they weren't just street cleaners or something. So she said they were engineers, and then later we talked about how her father and her get in arguments about relationships, and basically I think she said her father wants her to spend more time studying. And somewhere along the way I was telling her about my experience about spending a lot of money, somewhere around $50,000 on my second divorce. And as we talked, Alexandra found it pretty hard to believe that I knew all the stuff that I know, and I'd been divorced twice. And which is exactly my point, that if I would have been taught a lot of this stuff before I was divorced the first time, or before I was even in a first romantic relationship, I could have avoided an awful lot of heartache. So let's see, so hang on a minute while I collect my thoughts, as they say. Now I just changed seats so I wouldn't have to be disturbed when the people next to me wanted to get up. Here's what a bus stop looks like in Romania. Here's the Fornetti franchise. It has lots of tasty pastries. So let's see. One of the last things we were talking about, because I can't really remember exactly the sequence of our discussion, but we talked about how when she is waiting for her boyfriend, and the other day she was waiting for a couple hours, I guess, for him to come. I think she said he was supposed to come at 3 o'clock, and she said he was late, of course. So the of course means that she's learned from experience not to trust him to come on time. So she said when he got there, he was expecting her to be mad, and she just said something like, "Well, no, it's your choice if you want to come or not." And then later I asked how she felt, if she could name some feelings, and I said I was helping her a little bit with her emotional literacy, let's say, by suggesting some feelings. So I said, how important did you feel while you were waiting, between like 0 and 10? And she said about 2. And oh, I know, she also said when he came, she said not only it's your choice whether you come or not, but she also said, but I think it's a little bit rude. So I suggested to her that instead of labeling the situation as being rude, or labeling him as like a asshole or something, to try to identify her feelings and label her feelings, and say something, I felt a little bit unimportant, or I felt a little unloved. And she was really taking in all this quickly. I could see that everything I said made sense to her, and she wasn't debating hardly anything, really. She really picked up on a lot of stuff I was saying very quickly, so it was for me, very pleasurable to talk to her, which reminds me that one of the things we talked about was the French expression, because Alexandra has learned a little bit of French. She understands the expression "s'il vous plaît," which literally means "if it pleases you." So we talked about how in South America they would tell me "siéntate," which just means sit down, and we also talked about in English, because she understands the grammatical structure of the words. She understands that when you say something like sit or come or bring me this or eat or drink, that's the imperative form of the verb. An imperative means that you have to do it. She understood that also, and I said, I think we got on that because I asked her if she would like to have received a text message from her boyfriend that said something like, "I'm with my friends and I'll be about an hour late, so don't worry, I'm okay." And she said yes. And then I said, would you rather have a message that said something like, "I'm with my friends, how would you feel about me coming about an hour later?" And I explained the difference in that it gives her the choice of saying like, that would be okay or it wouldn't be okay, instead of just saying like, wait for me or I'll be there later, and not giving her a choice, and also not showing any interest in how she feels about it. So when they say "s'il vous plaît" in France, it means if it pleases you. But a lot of times when someone says, like for example the mother in Australia who said "come over here please" or "come inside please" to her child, she didn't mean if it pleases him. She didn't mean that at all, because the next time she said something like, "Johnny, come in, come here." And the next time she said, "Johnny, I'm going to count to 3." So it became more and more of a threatening situation for him. It was never a matter of whether it pleased him. And again, Alexandra understood all this quite rapidly. Let's see, so back to her boyfriend. So then I gave her another option. I said, what if he were to... Oh wait, I already said that, never mind. I know what I wanted to say. It was about the father in South America whose daughter at 14 years old tried to kill herself. This is the father who had been to America and who didn't go to the university. In fact, I'm pretty sure he never finished high school, now that I think about it. I think he left home, or he ran away from home or something, and so he wanted, as Alexandra suggested, he wanted his daughter to have something more than he did, or something better than he did, a better life. And he thought the way to do that was through education. So he really thought grades were important, and, quote, education, unquote, was important. So he would feel better if his daughter was crying while she did her math, as long as she got a high grade on her math test, than if she got a low grade and she was happy. So anyhow, Alexandra was telling me that she argues a lot with her father about relationships, and her father thinks it's more important that she spends more time on studying than on relationships. And let's see, I told her a little bit about invalidation, and she understood that also. I said, would you rather have a boyfriend who... Let's take 2 examples. Let's take one example where the boyfriend comes late and she says, I feel less important than your friends. And the boyfriend says, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. You're not less important than my friends. You're way more important than my friends. But he's invalidating her because she still feels less important. So no matter how much he says it, by his actions he shows that he would prefer to spend time with his friends than her. And I also gave the example that when I teach an English class and the kids want to come to my English class, I don't have to threaten them and say, if you don't come on time, then you'll get punished. And I don't have to say, if you don't come to class at all, you'll get punished, because they want to come. So I said, if somebody loves gambling, then they'll be waiting at the door to gamble when the casino opens. And if you love to do anything, you'll be looking forward to it, you'll be ready for it, and so obviously a person feels more loved as well as important when somebody wants to spend time with them and gets there not only not late, but maybe early. So I'm at about 9 minutes and 30 some seconds, so I'll stop this now so I don't go over the 10-minute YouTube limit, and I'll talk more about the other example that I was going to give Alexandra in the next video.